Welcome, friends of the Greasy Shop Rag. Today we're going to take a look at a Husqvarna 125B. Customer complaint is that it rattles. Let's take a listen. Alright, so I don't know how that came off on the video, but there's definitely a rattling noise coming out of this blower. It's kind of hard to tell where it's coming from, but I suspect that it might be coming from the impeller area. I have seen cracked impellers create this kind of rattle before, so we're going to have to dig into this a little bit and see what we got going on. Now, this side of the blower doesn't have to come apart to inspect the impeller, but there's some other things I want to look for along the way because I'm not 100% sure yet. So you can see that that whole motor wiggles around in the housing a bit. What are you going to do with that screwdriver, buddy? There you go. So we know the motor is a little bit loose. Now we're going to get ready to take off the cover on the other side and look at that impeller. We'll take the throttle linkage off because it's going to fall off anyway if I didn't. Remember, this is just a coarse screw going into plastic. Taking it apart isn't a big deal, but when you put it back together, you got to be a little bit careful. So initially, it doesn't really look like there's a problem here. But we take a closer look and you can see that there is a crack in that impeller right at the hub. Yeah, right there. Pretty good sized crack. Now how about these engine mounts? Pretty loose. What I want to do now is take these bolts out and see if the engine mounts themselves are cracked. There's a couple of screws on this side holding that engine to the housing. So the engine is completely loose now. What I'm looking at is that leg right there. A lot of times that longer one cracks and breaks. But it looked good, so we'll put her back together. Now, those were all the same steps you would have to go through if you wanted to tighten a loose carburetor on one of these blowers. I've done a few videos on that already. But sometimes that carb comes loose and it needs tightening up. Now there's a lot of different versions of this impeller and the way that it mounts to the end of the crankshaft. I found a used impeller with the same style center hub, and I'm just swapping it out. I don't have any part numbers for this, I'm just showing you the process. Alright, so my Snap-on driver here is on the number 3 setting at the lower speed, and that seems to work good for me on running screws into plastic. If you've got the same driver and you're doing this kind of work, let me know what setting you run. Alright, now what are we looking at? Making sure the engine mount bolts are tight on this side. This is our muffler heat shield. It doesn't actually get bolted in, it's just kind of sandwiched in between the halves. And our throttle linkage. Oh, that little grounding strap that goes under the palm of your hand. I don't have that in place yet. Am I going to catch that? Doesn't look like it. I understand the switch has got to be sandwiched in there. Ah, finally I eyeballed it.
Right.
Now what are you going to do, buddy? There you go. Alright, where's the rest of my screws? The coarse thread screws go up on top in the handle. And if you remove the screws from the starter, those are fine thread. I've kind of gotten in the habit of leaving the screws in the starter on this one. Crank her down. Something didn't feel right with that screw. And if I would have put the impact driver on a higher setting, it would have ran at home, but it's better to be safe than sorry in these kind of situations. We'll reinstall our tube, tighten it down. So that's all I got for you in Husqvarna 125B handheld blower impeller rattle. Thanks for watching. Later.